You were never meant to stay stuck, my friend. Well, firstly, your very essence is in constant movement. It's in constant expansion. And it's in constant transformation if you go into the process of cells that are constantly dividing and giving birth to something new. So you're naturally stuck. To those of you who feel like you're stagnant in your life or there's nothing new happening, it's, the microcosmos that is constantly giving life to new things, and maybe it's just your perception and your belief systems that haven't moved on this journey and applied some changes in your life. And usually the discomfort that you feel tells you that it's time for you to move on. And that's when you start to feel like you're being stuck. Know that this feeling is not a punishment, it's a kind of an invitation. It's an invitation from your body. Hey, we have enough of this boredom. We are recharged. We are good. We are ready to move on. And maybe I feel to talk about this just before the new year as an invitation to really decide like where you don't want to stay stuck anymore. In what kind of routines, what kind of a job, what kind of belief systems, what kind of story you're saying to yourself, what kind of habits and what kind of relationships, like where you don't want to feel stuck anymore. I have a message of breaking through today, but not in a sense like saying to you, hey, a big breakthrough is coming for you. Obviously, so many breakthroughs are coming to you, for you. And I just feel for myself the year 2025 will be a year of so many breakthroughs for many of us. Like the year 2024 for me was a year of incredible inner transformation. As in the Chinese medicine, they look on life, on personal lives, and on nature, all the cycles, they look as each cycle moves through these 5 different elements. It goes from the phase of water to the phase of wood, to the phase of fire, to the phase of earth, to the phase of metal. And each of these different phase has different characteristics to it. Like when we are in the phase of water, we feel very fluid. We feel like everything is happening with the flow. There's a lot of expansion happening. We are exploring new grounds, and we're just being taken to wherever life guides us, like moving with the flow. And what follows the element of water is wood. Wood represents growth. It then represents expansion, but more organized expansion. Like for a certain period of time, you may be just like, often we say we're searching ourselves. We're on a journey of finding out what we truly want to do. So we're moving around with the flow a little bit. This is the phase of water. And then it transitions into the phase of wood. When we find something we want to grab, like we find a knowledge that becomes very interesting to us, or a certain practice or a certain hobby or a certain job that is really fulfilling to us, we hold on to it and we want to grow in it. We want to become better at it. We want to become maybe experts at it or masters at it. And that's when we move into the element of wood. This explanation is very helpful, especially for those of you who feel stuck, because you will see where this stuckness is coming from. So wood is then this process of growth. We start holding on to something, we find a sense of direction, we set up something that we aim towards, and we start growing in it. And then eventually we move into the phase of fire, where we become very passionate about it, very driven, very even impulsive about it. We start adding up new projects, we start putting on new commitments, we start transforming, transitioning, we notice the progress in our lives, we notice how much we've changed, and we become even more passionate and joyful about it. So we become very intense in it. It's completely natural. This is fire, and we need it. Sometimes when people miss fire, it's because they're maybe still in the water or in the wood. We need to embrace where we are and acknowledge that this process happens almost by itself. Like, doesn't matter if you're forcing your growth to happen, eventually it will happen. As long as you are moving forward and not allowing yourself to stay stagnant. So fire is very powerful, but then it leads us to the element of earth, which means we become more grounded in it. That's the time when we become very good at whatever we've committed to. So we slow down a little bit, we ground everything, and we also start filtering a lot, like we start filtering the nonsense. So I will use as an example someone who is on a spiritual quest. So at the beginning, that person became very interested in Kundalini, in mystical knowledge, and researching different religions, in meditations and different practices. And at some point, a person became so passionate about it that he or she decided to start making content about it, start making videos or blogs, writing books or whatever. And that person went into this phase of wood, where that person started growing in this area and eventually turned into fire, where that person became so passionate about it that he or she started experiencing incredible amount of growth, and also success, also financial success came with it. But then that person came to the element of earth. And with the element of earth, that person started finding out that most of this spiritual knowledge that he or she attained is also nonsense, because actually it served him or her to kind of suppress the wounds from his or her past, and therefore all this knowledge made him or her more superior, which gave a lot of fire to that feeling of importance and being like better than everybody else who has no of this knowledge. And at that point, that person started humbling him or herself. And the earth element is all about humbling. It's about letting go of superiority, letting go of the need to be important, letting go of all these things. And eventually it helps us to simplify our lives, to simplify ourselves. And then it leads us to the element of metal, which often turns into stagnation. So we start simplifying our lives until we start to feel stagnant. Like, okay, I've done all of this work, I became quite successful at it, I've let go of all the nonsense, and then I don't feel any fire anymore. Like, I became a bit stagnant. Like, I don't know, like, if I've been striving to all of this, and then eventually I've recognized that I've been actually striving for all of that because of my wounds and maybe traumas or whatever. And now I don't see any big meaning in this anymore. And that's why we start declining sometimes. We start to feel stagnant. But, you know, that's the reason why when it comes to the element of metal, this is the most valuable element most of the time. If we think about gold or silver, the most valuable element, because it has been through all the process of transformation. Gold in ancient alchemy was known as the highest potential of matter. It's been through all the transformation. So actually, in the phase of stagnation, we are also the most valuable human beings because we've been through a lot. This is actually the purpose of stagnation, to reflect through what you've been and recognize how well you could use the value of everything life taught you in the next phase of water, where you will find a new flow that will take you into a whole new direction, that will introduce you to new growth, which is then again wood, and then fire, and then metal. So this is a constant transformation. If you go into Taoism or any old ancient philosophy, you will find these cycles of 5 different elements. And we just need to recognize in what phase of this cycle we are in right now, like where we are right now. Because as I said, movement is constantly happening. Your body is experiencing a constant movement. So usually it's your mind because you think it's something bad, because you've started feeling lazy and you've started feeling stuck and you've started feeling like there is no meaning anymore in your life. It's because you're maybe craving something that happened in the phase of fire, but you're not noticing why all that fire is gone now. Well, it's gone because you received everything it was for you to receive from that phase. And then in this phase of metal you may find yourself in right now, you actually need to see the value of all the journey you've been on, the value of all the lessons you've been on, the value of all the relationships that maybe have fallen apart, the value of everything you've been through until now. And it will teach you that maybe you're not really a bad person because, I don't know, you've done many bad things. You've done them unconsciously because you've been most probably running away from something, and then in this phase of metal, now you're actually deciding to stop running away from yourself, to stop running away from your pain and insecurities and hurt relationships, and actually maybe start calling these people, start going on meetings, start forgiving yourself and others, and start noticing what in this phase could be done for the release. Because gold, if you think about gold as the greatest value we can find on earth, when it comes to matter, material things, especially in finances, gold has an incredible value. Think about you as a golden character for something, like what really made you valuable. And for the next phase of your life, this value of yours would serve an incredible purpose if you would open up for a new path. And that's when you can actually start asking the universe or God for guidance, to see, to open up, to show up as you're ready. But then you need to know that life has its own timing. It's not your timing, like, oh, today I woke up and I've recognized I've learned so much, so now I want breakthroughs. No, it's you realizing that there is maybe something special about you. Not in a superior way, but yeah, you've been through a lot and you've been through very unique experiences no one else maybe had been. So it makes you a very special individual in some sense. And for that, well, most probably the most important thing you need to change is a belief. Believe that possibility for change is available to you. Not holding on to who you are right now, like being stagnant. Sure, it will take you through the discomfort because maybe you got so used to this phase of, let's say, metal right now. I'm speaking to those of you who feel stuck. So maybe you're listening to this and you're not stuck, but you're still finding some value in this message. So the point is that you recognize that there's a belief that is making you feel stuck. Even if you don't know, you need to trust the path that will reveal itself once you commit to moving forward. Once you decide, okay, if life truly moves in cycles and rhythms, and it does, look at the nature, we have seasons. We just got some snow 2 days ago here in Slovenia. So everything moves in cycles and rhythms. Once you understand that, you also understand that your personal journey moves through cycles and rhythms, 5 different elements. And when you change this belief from, oh, I can't, I'm not capable of, I'm too old. You're not too old, my friend. Go and study someone who started, I don't know, his or her passion project at their 60s, their 70s. We have people here in the community, sometimes they write a comment like, I'm in my 80s and I'm going through transformation. So when it's too late for us? When? Never, my friend, never. It's never too late. It's only a belief system. And that's when you start releasing. You start releasing these old thoughts and you just start exploring. Buy a book from someone who's maybe in their late 60s, 70s, but has become an incredible example of this process. Let go of what keeps you stuck. Old fears, outdated stories, or the need to any control. Stop controlling people. Maybe just start controlling your behaviors and find, new meaning is usually found in new approach. You see, if you look at the screen, let's say you're watching a movie, it's an incredible entertainment, but if you would take a loop or something that would zoom in the screen, you would only see the dots. You would see the dots that would have no order, and you would be like, oh, what's the big deal about all of this? So only when you zoom out and you see the big picture, you find out that everything was actually under a great order, and now it makes sense. So your life sometimes doesn't make sense because you're too much focused on the details. And sometimes when we just start doing certain things like moving around, cleaning our place and traveling a little bit and going out and just meeting strangers. Sometimes I go out and I just love to talk to strangers. So I will go into the city and I will just randomly talk. Like I will go into a store and I will talk with a person there. Or I will go into a coffee and I will talk with a person there. I love doing that because we always meet new stories and it helps us to see the big picture in life. When we see the big picture, we see that there was an order, there was a divine order. And that divine order helps us to see that actually everything was meant to be. So we decided to stay stuck because we became stagnant, and stagnation requires what? It requires some release. And release happens the way that you release yourself to be free, to go outside, to meet some new people, to start some new projects, even though you don't have energy for that. Of course you don't have energy for that because you didn't need it. Life gives you what you need, not what you want. So stop waiting for the energy to come, but actually start nurturing yourself and there will be more energy. Start working out, start eating better, and start noticing the connection between what you eat and how you feel. Because you will notice there's, something called glucose spikes. If you eat like a lot of sugar, it causes you to have incredible glucose spikes like 1 hour after you finish the meal, and then that spike goes down and you experience brain fog and lack of energy. Once you find the connection between what you eat and how you feel, you start noticing that you have so much more power over your energies. But then when it comes to creativity and inspiration and motivation, well, you need to show up. Start working out for 1 month and you will see after 1 month, if you've created a great order and found some wonderful relationships, maybe at a gym, you will recognize that you have more energy to work out. This is, simple, quick things that can help us to create more breakthroughs in our lives. And you will need to embrace the discomfort as a way through. Because any growth is usually uncomfortable. Don't resist to it, my friend. Lean into it. Every challenge is obviously there only because it feels challenging, only because we most probably haven't developed the muscle yet to move through. Like maybe for some people who are lonely, meeting new people is very challenging. They don't know what to say. They become anxious. But then you go out and you anxiously meet someone and you recognize they will not eat you. They will not bite you. They're anxious as well, most probably. And you recognize, oh, look, it was not so hard. Just one example. And that's when you start seeing first breakthroughs. Sometimes for some people to experience a breakthrough, it just requires consistency. Maybe you already have been through the water phase, have been through the wood phase, have been through the fire phase, and you're like, there's still no growth that I would love to experience with my business, with my finances, with whatever. So you need to recognize what growth occurred, because maybe what you want to see is not here yet. Yes, of course, but there's something else that's a big change if you compare yourself with the 1 year ago. Maybe this year and these cycles were not really to make you richer financially or to give you more clients, but to make you a better person, or to show you so you can actually see how capable you are. So then in the next cycles, you can actually bring even more value to your clients, or just keep doing what you're doing because it's maybe already perfect. And more people will start coming into your life. See that all these cycles have their purpose. Sometimes you want more money, but actually life is building you a greater character. So then you stop feeling so broke inside, because you will recognize that you are worthy and you are enough. Doesn't matter what happens outside of you, you are enough, because life taught you that you're quite an incredible person. And that's what will create some new breakthroughs. You will see that most of the time, clarity really comes to you when you stop hoping that something would change, when you stop wishing that you would have maybe more money or more clients or more this and more that, but you actually notice what did change because you took action, what did change because you've been consistent with your work. Clarity comes to those who really start noticing everything as something valuable, not just what you want, but there was something valuable. And maybe the purpose of this time was just different than what you thought it should be. Like, you thought, I need to make a lot of money this year, but you've actually grown as a person a lot. So then the next year, that growth can make you a lot of money. I don't know, but maybe, right? So start celebrating yourself more. Start celebrating yourself more. That's how you will create many breakthroughs in your life. Start celebrating yourself more, especially the small wins and changes. So don't wait for the perfect plan or ideal moment, my friend. Don't wait for something big to happen. Don't wait for something dramatic to happen. Breakthroughs aren't always big, my friend. Sometimes they're quiet shifts or tiny steps forward. Sometimes it feels like we've done 10 steps backward because life needed to humble us. So we would become more grateful for what we have, because maybe in front of us there's something so big that we actually need to learn to be more humble to meet it. Because maybe otherwise it would destroy us. What about that, my friend? Because at least twice I've experienced this way. Like, firstly, it felt I've done a lot of steps backward. Only so few months later I would recognize that life was actually humbling me. And then something so big happened, and I was like, what's a big deal? Like, I'm just grateful. People were saying to me, wow, you're so successful. You've done so much. Like, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful, my friend. That's why sometimes life humbles you. And love that about life. Love that about life. because otherwise maybe even good things can destroy you, and that's real. So in order to make breakthroughs in your life, you need to humble yourself. When you humble yourself, you see that every single day you wake up, it's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough because you have another chance. So sometimes it's about, understanding that we are carrying the yesterday's emotional baggage into today. So we are waking up all sorrow or sad or depressed. And we think, oh, we need a big win and big breakthrough to feel better. But actually what you need is maybe just to sit with these feelings and emotions and find what really is causing them. Is it food? Is it habits? Is it like you've been through something? Is it a lack of rest? Is it maybe a burnout? What is it? And reflect on it. And notice that maybe an answer to your question will be the biggest breakthrough. So sometimes we want big wins in life just because we feel depressed, but we feel depressed because our body requires rest from something that's so boring or just not interesting. That's a big realization. So anytime, my friend, you wish to have a breakthrough in your life, ask life for guidance, ask God for guidance, ask universe for guidance. But then don't be surprised how the answers will come to you. Most of the time it's not what we're looking for, it's not what we want, but it's always what we need. So, my friend, every stuck moment is always a doorway, not a dead end. And every breakthrough is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a new one. A new expanded chapter. So it doesn't matter in which phase of this cycle you're in. I love this explanation of cycles from Taoism. To me, it helped me to understand my seasons in life. We are always moving through the seasons, and once we understand that, we actually stop comparing our present season with our previous season, or hoping that our present season would soon turn into something new, because where we are is where we need to be at this point. But don't be a victim of what you think is wrong. Notice why it is as it is. And notice the value. Notice the value of what life taught you until now. So you can use that then in the next phase for greater service, for greater work, to become a greater human being. So I believe in you. I believe you have the courage to rise, the strength to persist, and the wisdom to create a life that overflows with breakthroughs. I hope you've enjoyed in today's message, my friends. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting as well. You found it interesting. I want to say big thanks to everyone for choosing to support my art on our store, AttractPassion.com, where you can buy prints of my paintings, some of the original paintings, and we've designed some inspirational or motivational posters of 12 principles for forgiveness, for manifestation, 12 universal principles, and so much more. Go and check it out. It's quite beautiful and interesting. So thank you so much for your support. With that, you're supporting this mission. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. I love you all, my friends. Until next time, one love.